Welcome to the Series 2009 Intro to Ceres and Getting Started web class. This class is designed to show you the menu structure and layout of the RTC client and how to navigate in the system. It will also show you how to use the system to search, find, sort, and filter records, as well as make small changes so that the system works better for you. First of all, what is RTC? It stands for Role Tailored Client. And the menu structure for Series 2009 is designed to display a role center for each user. The role center is assigned to your user profile and is specific to your role within the organization. Role centers do not replace security, but provide a starting point for activities and tasks that you do on a regular basis. The goal for role centers is to help eliminate menus and features that you do not use regularly and promote those that you do use. Each role center has a home page and access to your role center activities. On the left-hand side, you'll see your home, navigation pane, in the center your activities, and Outlook if you have Microsoft Outlook integrated. And on the right-hand side are My Lists. You can set up My Lists however you would like. Depending on your role center, the My Lists may come already configured for you, but you can make changes to those as needed, and we'll discuss that momentarily. The Role Center provides a graphical representation of the day's work and can be customized to display or hide functions and tasks specific to your food bank and to your user. The homepage navigation pane on the left-hand side provides easy access to daily tasks. The tasks in this pane are assigned based on the profile ID assigned to the user, but they can be modified to create a more meaningful list of tasks. Role Center customization itself is fully covered in a separate class, but we will go over a few of the major points during this training. I think right now I'm logged in as an agency and receivables accounting person, and so I see many things having to do with agencies and receivables. Your screen will look different depending on the role that you've been assigned, but you can then customize your role center so that everything that you do on a daily basis or even weekly basis can be categorized and held on your home screen. One of the things that's nice about the role center, as I mentioned before, are the My Lists on the right-hand side. Right now I see my agencies, and I can add to my list of agencies all the agencies that I work with on a regular basis, so I have quick access to those cards. Rather than having to go over to agencies and then bring up the list of agencies and find the agency, I can simply go to my home page and my list, and if I want to go look at this agency card, I can either double click on it or right click on it and choose open, and it will open up the agency card directly from the screen. Under my items, similar idea here. If I double click on the item in my list, it will open up the item card for me. The bottom My List we see is in My Notifications, and notifications can come from orders, they can come from other types of documents. If someone sends you a notification, it will show up in your My Notifications list as long as you have it displayed on your home Role Center screen. And if I want to view the notification, I can select the notification and either right-click on it and choose View Notification or Open Page, which takes me to the document that the notification is referring to. Or I can click on the lightning bolt and choose those things as well. I can also remove the notification. If I don't want to view any of these parts of my Role Center window, I can simply choose Remove on that part. So if I was to click Remove, it would remove notifications from my lists on the right-hand side. But if I want to, for example, open the document that is referred to in this notification, and let's just kind of pull this over here to the left a little bit, and we'll see that this is referring to an agency order, and that is the agency order number that it's referring to. When I hover over it, you can see that it's agency order and which agency order it is and who it's for. And the note that was on my notification is, yes, Fred Flintstone is the right shopper. But if I want to go look at the actual document, I can, like I said, right-click here open page, or go here and open page, and it will take me to the order that the notification was referring to. Shopper Fred Flintstone. Apparently question had been asked, is Fred Flintstone the correct shopper? And the notification answer was yes, Fred Flintstone is the right shopper. As I mentioned before, if you want to remove the part from your screen, just click remove and it will disappear. You can add the part back if you decide you want it later by going here to the Customize button and choosing Customize this page. And the chart parts here, as you can see, we have Activities, Microsoft Outlook, My Agencies, and My Items. My Agencies and My Items are the ones we're seeing on the right. My Notifications now shows over here on the left-hand side because we're not currently using it. So if we want to add it back, we'll click on Add, and it puts it back over here on the right. If we don't like the order of our panes, we can simply move them up or down, or depending on the pane, you can move it left or right. So if I want my notifications underneath Microsoft Outlook instead, I can choose Move Left, and now my notifications will show up in the middle of my Role Center activity screen. So I've moved it over here underneath Outlook. Again, the Outlook option is only if you've got Outlook integrated with your Role Tailored client, and if you do not want to see it here, you can choose Remove just like any other part, and it will go away. If you want to change the way that your screen looks, if you want more room on the left-hand side, you can grab for the little buttons that are right here, the little dots that are showing, and drag it to the right or drag it to the left. Same with any of these panels here or panes on your home window. Of course, as you drag them, you'll see more or less of that area. If we go back into customizing the pane area, you can choose columns to display from the available columns in that pane. Under My Agencies, we only have 3 columns showing the name, agency number, and phone number. If I want to show the agency balance as well, I can add it, and I can choose to move it up or move it down, and it will change how it displays on here. You'll notice that it kind of made it a little bit scrunched up for the name when I added the balance. So you'll have to play with it a little bit to see how it looks on your screen. So if I go back to choose columns again and I move balance, we'll try moving it down first, see if it makes it any better. And we'll try, so there isn't, unfortunately when you get up here you can't, you can choose the column header height, so I can make it 3 or 2 or 1, but I can't, like normal columns, I can't grab them and pull them to the right. So you have to make sure that when you're choosing columns that it still displays properly in your screen so that you get the most information that you need. There's also an option to add a freeze pane. So if I wanted to always see the name first, or see the name, and then if I'm scrolling to the right to see other information, so after name I'll add a freeze pane. Then that way, let's say I make this a little bit smaller, and right now I can see my name and I can also see the number, but I can't see the phone number. But if I scroll to the right, then it brings the phone number into view. Now obviously if I want to see the whole phone number, I probably need to pull this over a little bit. But now I can see the phone number, but my freeze pane still is over here to show me who the agency is, so I know if I'm looking at the right phone number. So you can modify the My Lists to be beneficial to your home page, and this will not make changes to anybody else's home page, specifically to your user login. So make the changes that you desire, because they'll just make it easier for you to navigate around in the system. In addition to being able to make changes to your home page, and we'll do some more customizations in a little bit to it, you can also search for things. In Ceres 2009, the search feature didn't used to exist previously. In the RTC client, which they tried to make much more like other Windows applications, you can actually come up into the search box and type in the thing that you want to search for. So, for example, if you're looking for the Receipts and Distributions Report, also known as the QPR, you can type in receipts, and it will bring up all of the things in the database that have the word receipts in them. As you look down through this list of items, you can see Receipts and Distribution Report is showing here. If you want to go directly to the report itself, you can click on the link on the left-hand side. If you want to go to the area where the report is found, then you can click on the link on the right-hand side. And you'll notice that there are different icons in front of some of the options here. So depending on what it is, it will give you a different icon. Obviously, this is a report, and this is a report because they have this type of icon. This is a form, and then these are history items because they've got this little icon that looks like maybe it's going into the past, kind of hard to tell. But it will give you an idea of what type of document it is that you are accessing. So, like I said, if we want to directly run the Receipts and Distribution Report from the search menu, we can click on the link here, and it will take us to the report menu options. And we can just go ahead and run the report from here by filling in all of our proper options. Or we can go to the area where the report is located, and then we can find it here in this list. So the Receipts and Distribution Report is located right here. We can click on it and it will bring up that same screen. So the search feature is really nice. It does help that you have an idea of a name that's in what you're looking for. So if you're looking for donors, you can type in donors. If you're looking for vendors, maybe something to do with a vendor report or any other, you notice there's lots of things in here that have the word vendor in them. So the more information you put in, the smaller your list becomes. So if you know that you're looking for vendor item statistics report, then as soon as you type in vendor/item, it narrows down your search completely. So the search feature is a great new feature that is now in Ceres 2009, and it allows you to access things very easily. Let's say, for example, that I'm now at the report or the menu where the report is that I want to run, and I want to send that information to somebody else in the database, or maybe they're not in the database right now, but you want to tell them where to access this report in the database. You can click in the address bar, and you'll notice that it takes what was a kind of like a path here from the database name to departments to warehouse to inventory to reports. And when you click up here, it actually scrunches them up like a path that you would have for accessing a folder in Windows Explorer. And you can copy this, and you can send it in an email, or in this case, I'm just going to put it in a text file. And then you can send that path to somebody else in the organization, and they can go directly to where you were within the system. So for example, let's say I go back to my home page, and I want to go back to the path that I just copied here. I can, and since I still have it copied, I can actually just paste, but I can come up here into the address bar, right-click and choose Paste, hit Enter, and now it takes me directly to that menu where I previously copied. So if this was sent to somebody else, if this path was sent to someone else, they could go in and paste that in their address bar and be taken to the same area. So rather than having to give them a lengthy description about how to access a report, you can simply send them the path and tell them which report it is, and then they can find the report and they can run it. Right now we're looking, of course, at departments navigation pane here on the left-hand side as identified by the word departments. The system allows you to set up some buttons here on your navigation pane. It comes default with home and departments, and I believe posted documents. You can also add to the navigation pane buttons, which is covered under customizing role centers. But just know that if you need to get to another area of the application and it's not under your home role center, you can click on the departments button, and you can go ahead and find the area of the application that you need to access. And let's say I want to go to administration and I want to go to general ledger setup. I can get there by going to departments first. Even though General ledger setup wasn't under my home activities, my home role center, I can still get there by going to departments. Now, the key thing is that you may be able to get to a department and see an area of the application, but if you do not have rights to access it, then you will get an error message. And if you do get an error message, or if you get an error message for something that you think you should have permission for, then you will want to contact your system administrator to make sure that you should have access, and if so, then they can work to get that resolved for you. But it may be that you're going to see things in the departments menu that you don't have access to. And note that what you're seeing here is in our base Ceres database, so there's a lot of menu areas that you may not have granules, you may not have licensing for. So yours may look a little bit different from this, but you'll have several of these things, I'm sure: financial management, agencies and receivables, purchase, donation, and warehouse, and as well as administration should at least all be there. And you may not have some of these other ones available. But again, you can access the area of departments by going to the Departments button and then selecting whichever area you need to go to. And if you have access to it, then you'll be able to proceed, and if not, then you will probably get a permission error. Once you've selected a task, so for example, let's go to agencies and receivables, and we'll go to tasks, and let's say I want to go to agency scheduling. And actually, that's not a good one to use as an example. How about, let's go to order processing, and let's choose agency orders. And in this database, we're using batches for agency ordering, so it takes me to a batch selection screen first. If you're not using batches, then it will just open up the list of agency orders. So let me go ahead and select my batch first, and it takes me into my list of agency orders. And there are different parts of the window here. So we're looking at the very top, what's called an action pane. And the action pane can be customized to display documents, processes, and reports that you define. When you see new, that means that you can set up something that you can access. So in the new action pane, you can set it up to create, in this case, a new agency order. If you were in purchases and payables or in donations, then maybe it would be a new donation order, or new purchase order, or purchase invoice. And you can add that to your action pane by customizing it. You can also add or remove things from the process buttons in the action pane, and you can also add or remove reports up here at the very top. When you're in any sort of list in the system, so this would be considered a list because it's a list of all the agency orders, or for example, if you went to agencies or agency relations and went to agencies, you're going to see a list of all your agencies in the system. Or if you went to purchase or warehouse, doesn't matter which, and go to planning and get your items, you've got a list of all your items in the database. Anytime you're in a list view, you will have the action pane at the very top, and you can customize the action pane as well as some other features here. So let's go ahead and talk about how you can customize the columns to display the columns that you want to see. You can either right-click on any column heading and go to Choose Columns, or you can go to the Customize button at the top, and you can go to Choose Columns here, or you can even go to Customize this page, choose Columns, and then you'll get to the same screen. So all of those get to the same place, and the idea is that you're going to be able to make changes to the columns that you have in the list that you're viewing. The columns, or the fields that are on the left-hand side, are the available columns to add. The ones on the right side are the ones that are currently being displayed. So if there's something on the right-hand side that you don't want to see, you can remove it. If there's something that you don't see right now and you want to add it, such as, let's say, costing method, it will add to the bottom or the last column on your window. And then if you want to move it, depending on where it is in the list of columns, you can either move it up or move down. And then once you click OK, it will make those changes. So we added costing method, and we removed, I think, mobile related or something like that. So costing method is showing here on our screen. You might also notice that when I scroll to the right, it's retaining the item number and item description, even as I scroll over to see some of the information that is further over to the right. That is handled by doing a freeze pane. So I've got a freeze pane after the number and description. So wherever you want the freeze pane, that will be where it holds the information to the left of the freeze pane as you scroll to the right. So if I want to add a bunch of stuff to my window, let's see what else we got here. So I've added a bunch more fields, and you can see that my little scroll bar right here has gotten a little bit wider. And as I scroll to the right to see all that information, I can still see my item number and description on the left. So it makes it really nice for viewing your lists to be able to not lose some of the key criteria about the list that you're in. So for example, if you're in the agency's list and you don't want to lose the agency number and name and maybe phone number, or whether they're permit web ordering enabled, you can certainly set up your freeze pane to keep those columns to the left of that pane. If you want to remove it entirely, of course, you can come here, choose Remove Freeze, and it goes away. But then what happens is if you scroll to the right to look at some of the other information, you can no longer see what item you're reviewing. You might have noticed before, too, that I can change the header height for my column headings. So when you right-click on the headers, you'll have an option here to choose header height. If you choose 1, then it only shows 1 line of header. And, of course, if you choose 2 lines of header, and 3 lines. If you like the way you have it set up with 3 lines, you can apply that to all lists by opening up the Choose Header Height option and selecting Apply to All Lists. And then it will give you a little reminder that says you're about to apply the column header height of 3 lines to all lists in the applications. So when you say yes, then any other list that you go to, for example, if I go to agencies, it automatically sets my header height to 3 because that's what I've selected, so that it shares that same column heading height throughout the application. So it's a nice feature. You don't have to remember to do it in all areas that you have a list view. You can just do it once, set it to apply to all lists, and then wherever you go in the system that has a list view, you will get those same number of column headings. And whatever you determine you want it to be, if it's 2, and then you choose Apply to All Lists, then when you go back to wherever you were before, it will maintain that. If you want to filter a list, there are a couple different ways to filter. The primary filter is usually always the main key for the list that you're viewing. In this case, the main key is most always going to be, if not always, the number. In this case, we're looking at an item list, so it would be the item number. So if I wanted to filter for an item number, I could, if I know the exact item number that I want, like it would help if I type properly, then I can filter to that item record. Or maybe I don't know the whole name, but I know part of it. So I can type in the first part with an asterisk, which is a wild card character. And then it's going to find me everything that starts with whatever I type before the asterisk. So if I go back and put in 01 asterisk, we'll see if there's anything else that comes up. And yes, there are. So we can use the number field up here to filter to create a single, what we call a field filter. You can also change, we'll remove that filter, and then you can change the filter field, what you're filtering off of, based on what's available here. So instead, if I want to filter on quantity on hand, instead of the number, I can do quantity on hand. Let's say I want to find everything that's greater than 0. Now we'll bring up only those items that have a quantity on hand greater than 0. So I can scroll up, scroll down. All of these items have quantity on hand. Now, let's say I want to further filter this list. So I want to see all items that have quantity on hand that are purchased items. So right here I have what's called an advanced filter field. If you don't have an advanced filter field showing, you can click on the, so in this case I'm in the items, so I would click on items. If I was in an agency list, it would say agencies here, or if I was in a donor list, it would say donors. I can click on the down arrow and choose advanced filter, and it will bring up this advanced filter field here. So in addition to the field that I filtered on at the top, which was quantity on hand greater than 0, I can add another filter where inventory posting group is purchased. And then it's going to go through and it's going to refilter my list here. So now I'm seeing only items that have quantity on hand and are purchase items. If I want to add another filter to further restrict what I see in my list, I can click on the Add Filter. Maybe now I want to see only those items that are on hand, are purchased, and are case items. So I would go to my base unit of measure and choose case. I hit Enter, and then it refilters the list, and now I'm seeing only items that have quantity on hand greater than 0, are purchased items, and are case items. So you can see how you can use the advanced filtering to continue to restrict the list that you get, and it works great. You know, just keep adding as many filters as you need, and just note that, you know, if you get to a point where you go, you know what, I want to get rid of a filter, so maybe you want to get rid of the purchase filter now and just restrict it to greater than 0 and unit of measure case. So I can come up here and delete this filter, and now it's showing me all the items that are quantity on hand greater than 0. Don't care about my inventory posting group anymore. Notice that it's blank here, it says enter value, but it's still my case items. So the nice thing about it is you don't have to clear your filters individually. You can just come back up here and clear out whichever filter you no longer want to use to filter that particular list that you're on. In addition to using the advanced filter options, which we're going to go ahead and clear here, you can also do some other filters up here. So let's go back one little step here and go back to, I'm going to go to the description field here. And as I mentioned before, you can use the wildcard to filter your list. Let's say I want to find every item that has the word Foster in it. I would put in the asterisk first, and then the word Foster, and then another asterisk. And that way I should find every item that has the word Foster either at the beginning, at the end, or in the middle. And as you can see, we have 4 items that have the word Foster in them. And if I had just done Foster with the asterisk afterwards, it won't find anything because Foster is not the first word in the item. And if I do star Foster, it also won't find anything because Foster was the middle word in the item description. So in order to find those items, I have to have the asterisk on either side. There's not a Find as you type option in Ceres 2009, but the filtering availability, again, you can use the drop-down list here to change what you want to filter on, and you can also use the advanced filters, and you'll get, these are the visible columns showing here, but you can also filter on columns that are not visible. So even though I may not be showing the cost adjustment type, for example, I could still filter on cost adjustment type, and I could see all items that have a cost adjustment type of amount or percent. In this particular case, I have 2 options there. So again, if you don't see something in the visible columns and you want to be able to filter on it, select the all columns and then find whatever it is, and you can go down and click on the down arrow here and keep going until you find the field that you want. You can also use your keys on the keyboard. So if you're looking for something that starts with I, for example, you can type I until you get to the whatever it is that you want to use that starts with I, or any other letter of the alphabet. So I can hit K, and it takes me through all the K features, filter options. So just know that you can, you don't have to use the scroll up and down. You can use the letters to find whatever it is that you're looking for. Now, it doesn't let you type in, like, say, the first and second letter, so I typed in I and T for item, and it took me to the T's because T was the second thing that I typed. So you can only use the first letter, but then you can use it over and over again until you find the filter field that you want to use. Okay? Now, nice thing about Ceres 2009 is that once you've got a list filtered the way that you like it, and it's something that you would filter by over and over again. So let's just kind of make up a new list here, and we're going to do quantity on hand greater than 0, and we're going to do permit web orders equals yes, and I'm going to hit enter. Now I have my list of all items that are quantity on hand greater than 0 and permit web orders is yes. And I want to look at this list over and over again, and I don't want to have to redo my filters every single time. So we now have the option of saving our filtered list by clicking on the button at the top left. So it doesn't matter what list you're in, just select the button that's up at the top of that list and choose Save View As. And it will bring up a window and ask you what you want to name it and where you want to save it. Now, the activity group option is going to be either your home page, or depending on where you're at, it could be, there might be other options, but typically you're going to want to save it on your home page. So it's asking where we want to save it to. Right now I can't go look at my home page because I've got this dialog box open, but I'm going to cancel that for a second just so that we can go back to our home page. So we were looking at items, so it would assume that I'm going to want to save that view under my items tab here on the home Role Center page. I could put it under agencies, but that would seem kind of silly, so most likely I'm going to have it under items. So if we go back where we were, and see, I probably lost my filter, of course, but that's okay. We'll just set it again. So quantity on hand greater than 0, and permit web orders, yes. And now I'm going to save my view, and I'm going to call it permit web orders quantity on hand. You can call it whatever you want, but that's just so I know exactly what it is. And it's going to go to my home activity group, and it says your changes have been saved and will take effect after the application's been restarted. Do you want to restart now? I'll say yes, or you can say no, and it won't take effect until the next time you open up the application. Now you'll notice a slight difference on the home navigation pane. There's now a little arrow to the left of items. That means that if I click on this arrow, it will expand it, and there will be additional things to be found under here. As you can see, there's my view for items, permit web orders, and quantity on hand. I click on that, and it automatically takes me to a list of items where quantity on hand is greater than 0 and permit web orders is yes. So if you wanted to set one up where you have quantity on hand and permit web orders is no, so you can see if you need to make any items permitted for web ordering that you now have quantity for, you can certainly do that. So if I go here and set up, change my filter, so we're going to notice there's no advanced filter showing right now. That's because I'm looking at a view that I've saved. So if I want to go create another view, I can go back to items list, and I can put in my filters. So I want quantity on hand greater than 0, and I have no advanced filter here, so I have to add it, where permit web orders is no. Click there we go. Now I can save this one. We'll call it quantity on hand not permitted. Now I have two saved views here. Here's my one with all the items that are permitted for web ordering and have quantity on hand. And here's my list of all the items that have quantity on hand but aren't permitted for web ordering. Now, you'll notice that this list is laid out a little bit different. My quantity on hand column was over to the right here. So I can, now that I'm here, I can choose my columns and let's get rid of that and let's move that over here. I don't need that. And move quantity on hand up. So now I can see all those items that I have quantity on hand for, but they're not currently permitted for web ordering. So that will tell me, okay, if I want to make sure that these get sent to the web, then I need to go through this list and update them. Now, if I permit an item for web ordering, which can't do from here, right? I have to go to the item to permit it. So let's say I permit this item here by going to Edit, and then going to the, let's find our permit web orders here, right here. You'll notice that it disappeared from my list. And that's because it no longer meets the filter criteria for my quantity on hand not permitted for web ordering. It should now show up under my permit web ordered quantity on hand items. And there it is. So play away with your list. You know, if you want to save ones that you do on a regular basis, do that. And then, you know, you can modify your columns. You can modify the filters for them, and just have fun with it. Just play around and learn all about it. You can create and save as many filtered lists as you desire, and you can remove filtered lists by simply going to your navigation pane, your home page, and then you can customize navigation pane, and then find the one that you want to remove, highlight it, and choose remove, and it will go away. Now, restore defaults will only take you back to the original Role Center navigation pane items. So if you've added some filtered lists and then you remove them accidentally, you can't just hit restore defaults and get those back. You can just recreate the filter and save the filtered view again, but you would get back everything else that was a default for the home navigation pane. I'm going to go ahead and say cancel so we can keep those. On the right-hand side of your home, or actually any screen here, unless you remove them, you'll notice what we call fact boxes. And we are viewing an item list, so we're seeing information about the item. Whatever item we're highlighted on here on the left, we will see item details on the right. If we're on agencies, then our fact boxes will be related to agencies. And of course, if we're on donors, then our fact boxes will be related to the donor that we're viewing by highlighting on the left-hand side. The fact boxes can be displayed or hidden, or you can scrunch them up if you want, just by grabbing them and pulling it over there. Or you can come up here and you can remove by clicking on the one that you don't want anymore, and then clicking on the lightning bolt and choosing remove. You can customize it. So if you don't want to see all of this information, you can simply remove it. And then all that will display in that fact box are the columns that you've kept on the right-hand side. So you can play around with them. Again, if you want to remove all of them, you can either come in and individually remove them, or you can go to Customize and customize. Oh, my eyes went a little bit tired there. Go to Customize this page, and then choose Fact Boxes, and then you can just simply remove them. And now they're completely gone. I can still get them back, no worries. Just go back to Customize this page, choose Fact Boxes again, and then add whatever you want back over. And you don't have to restart the application for those to be reset, so you know, they'll come up right away. At the top of your window, you'll see three menus: Actions, Related Information, and Reports. The action menu will display different actions that you have available, whether you're on a list view or on a card. So if you're doing, say, an agency order or a purchase or donation order, or maybe you're in an item journal, you will have actions that are available from the lightning bolt menu. Those same actions that you see under the lightning bolt menu can be added here in the action pane. So for example, new is already there, right there. If I want to add view to my action pane, I can certainly do that by customizing the action pane or actions. And on the right hand side, let's see, oh, that's the actual action drop down. I'm sorry. That lets you pick what you can have here in the action drop down. But if I want to customize the action pane, then I need to go to customize action pane. And then under new, right now we only see new and donation order. Maybe I want to add the view button action. Now view is available here. So if I want to view the donor without actually editing it or creating a new order, I can simply click on view. And I can see all the information from the donor card, but I can't make any changes to it because I'm not in edit mode. So whatever you want to add to the action pane, you can get there by going to customize, and then you can, whatever it is that you want to customize. We did choose columns, we did fact boxes. Actions would be the information under your actions drop down. Reports would be the information that are under this reports drop down. So each area of the application is going to have a different drop down for your reports listing. So if I want to change what shows up there, then I can go to customize reports, and then I can remove, things I don't want to see. When I go to reports, now only those remaining reports show up under the list. So you can modify how those look. You can't change related information, but you can change actions and reports. You can also customize your action pane, and you can customize the list view that you see. Other information about customizing we go over in the Customizing Role Center. So for information about, say, customizing a fast tab on a card, we go over it in the Role Tailored Client Customization class. So feel free to check that out. As I mentioned before, you can customize these. The Actions menu allows you to view the available actions from whatever screen you're on. Related information will take you to more information about the particular, in this case, donor, because we're in the donor list. If we were on items, it would take us to the item information. If we were on agencies, take us to the agency information. And without actually having to go into the card itself, you can get to a lot of the information from this drop-down under related information. And under reports, it provides a list of reports that you can access directly from the drop-down list, and as I showed you before, it can be customized. For now, enjoy practicing what you've learned, and remember that if you get in a bind, you can always choose Restore Defaults to go back to your original system-defined settings, and just play around and have a good time. This concludes the Intro to Ceres Getting Started for Ceres 2009 RTC class. Please join us for other exciting topics. Thank you.